What techniques does Quentin Tarantino use in order to create successful films? Quentin Tarantino is probably one of the most notorious directors that has ever lived, becoming a household name due to the simple fact that his films are utterly incomparable to any other filmmaker. His depiction of pop culture, disregard of chronological sequencing, and paying homage to the thousands of films he has viewed over the years are all reasons why Tarantino's movies stick in people's memories. When it comes to technique, Tarantino's is always original, bringing something new to every aspect of cinema. However, I have decided to focus on 3 techniques which I believe Tarantino excels in order to engage an audience and ultimately make a commendable profit at the box office. The first of the 3 techniques is dialogue, a crucial element to any film that when done wrong can ruin the whole movie. Tarantino has written all of the movies which he has directed, which means we can look at examples of dialogue from all of his work. One aspect of dialogue that Tarantino manages to pull off so well is the way in which he adds another dimension to characters, where other writers wouldn't. Take the famous example of Pulp Fiction, an action film which displays shocking amounts of violence at the hands of a gang that operate in Los Angeles. However, Tarantino contradicts this bad boy image for the characters through casual dialogue in one of the opening scenes. Watch how the dialogue talks about normal day-to-day topics.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mac.
First, this scene may seem unnecessary, it adds nothing to the plot of the film, but what we realise is that through the chatty style language, the audience seem more emotionally invested in the characters, as the topics they talk about are relatable. The main activities that criminals do is what the majority of films focus in on. However, Tarantino allows the audience to see in from a human level focal point, as the gangsters are talking about something as familiar as burgers. This is just one way in which Tarantino stands out from other directors. The second technique which Tarantino has mastered is the use of cinematography, the use of camera work in filmmaking. Tarantino often uses the same type of camera shots in his films because they are so iconic to his style of filmmaking. Each shot can create a different feeling for the audience. For example, the extreme close-up shot, which makes the scene feel much more intense or to convey emotion. Or the quick zoom-ins, which are usually used when introducing main characters that will be a key part of the film later on. Cinematography is also used in order to draw out the tension in a certain scene, a skill which we have already talked about through Tarantino's dialogue. However, in cinematography, the audience are kept in suspense through what they see, rather than what they hear. In Inglourious Basterds, we are given a prime example of this, as the German major at this point in the film suspects that the British spy isn't the German officer he is impersonating.
Verantwortlich! Sie greifen jetzt Ihren Freund oder wird meinen ersten Geburtstag wegen Trunkenheit in der Öffentlichkeit im Gefängnis verbringen!
Dürfte ich mich vielleicht erkundigen?
Wie unser frisch gebackener Vater hier, habe auch ich ein sehr genaues Ohr für Akzente. Und wie er finde ich Ihren äußerst seltsam. Woher stammen Sie, Hauptsturmführer?
Sturmbannführer, ich finde es höchst...
Ich habe nicht mit Ihnen gesprochen, Obersturmführer München. Und auch nicht mit Ihnen, Obersturmführer Frankfurt. Ich spreche mit dem Hauptsturmführer heimatlos hier.
The dramatic pause in the Major's speech is what builds attention, as the aggressive tone of voice and high-ranking uniform are left to stew in the audience's minds before our suspicions are confirmed that the Major has caught on to the ruse. The directions of putting down the book, taking a drag on the cigarette and stopping the turntable with the camera following the major, all add to the sense of foreboding. According to Tarantino, people ultimately watch films in order to feel emotions, and what Tarantino does with both his dialogue and cinematography is create a rollercoaster of emotions with each of his films. This is what gives his films the ability to watch them over and over again and adds to his success. The third and final technique which Tarantino uses to his advantage is the use of violence, or more commonly known in the film industry as hyperviolence. Before any Tarantino film is brought out, he is constantly slated in the media for his overuse of violence. However, I believe this simply aids to advertise his films in order to do better at the box office. The use of violence itself in Tarantino's movies always contain lots of blood, and Tarantino's famous quote, "If a guy gets shot in the stomach and he's bleeding like a stuck pig, then that's what I want to see," is prevalent in his work. Tarantino likes to show lots of gore, such as an unrealistic amount of blood from cut limbs and so on. Scientifically, when watching this on screen, it releases adrenaline and endorphins, which gives the audience an excited buzz, making Tarantino's movies addictive to watch.